Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Fuzz, and today I've got a list of my top 10 favorite Robert Redford movies for you. We just lost Robert Redford last week, so this list is kind of my way of paying tribute to the man and his work. I've always been a pretty big Robert Redford fan, but especially when I was younger, I'd say probably late teens, early 20s, I was a massive fan of his work. I think I probably had about 6 or 7 movies of his that I kept in pretty heavy rotation and would frequently rewatch back then. He was one of my favorite actors when I was younger, him and Al Pacino. And I went through a phase where I was, frequently visiting the video store to rent whatever Robert Redford movies I could get my hands on. So I think it's fair to say that Robert Redford's work left an indelible impression on me, and he made a huge impact on my appreciation of film in general, right? And he played a sizable role in me becoming a big fan of movies. I've just always loved his style of acting, even though, I don't know if I would say that, he had the most diverse range as an actor. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because he really knew how to play to his strengths. Right. He had this really measured and restrained way of projecting his persona on screen. And I think that's what it is. The on-screen persona that he projected was one that I just really connected with and felt like I could really resonate with. And anytime he was in a movie, I always found his characters to be pretty interesting and compelling, even though they all had his kind of unique presence to them, right? His kind of unique persona and touch to them. I still always felt drawn to his performances and the characters that he played. He had this way of just kind of sucking me right into the film, even if it wasn't the type of film where I would normally be interested in the subject matter. There was something about his acting that really worked for me, and that sometimes would be enough for me to be interested in the film. And it wasn't just his acting either. He was notable as a director as well, and a very good one. In fact, Ordinary People in 1980, the Donald Sutherland, Mary Tyler Moore, Timothy Hutton, that was a Redford-directed movie, and I believe he won an Academy Award. I think that won Best Picture that year, won the Oscar for Best Picture. But he had some other good ones too, like Quiz Show or A River Runs Through It, which is a great movie. Even though I'm not a big Brad Pitt fan, that's a really well done film. And so, yeah, that was another Redford directed movie that I've always appreciated. So Robert Redford had a lot of talents. And then, of course, there's the Sundance Film Festival. That was his baby, his creation. So I think it's fair to say he was a pretty damn impactful figure in American film history, and he left behind an incredible body of work. So like I said, today I've got a list of my personal top 10 favorite Robert Redford movies and a few honorable mentions at the end as well. So let's just get right into it and rock this. All right, so starting off with my number 10 here, we've got a 2001 film, prison movie called The Last Castle, with Robert Redford, James Gandolfini, Mark Ruffalo, who I'm not a big Mark Ruffalo fan, but I can tolerate him in this one, and Delroy Lindo's in this one as well. And it's basically about this military prison, right? And Robert Redford plays this highly decorated general who ends up in this prison, and I won't get into all the details or whatever. And he encounters an asshole warden, which is a common prison story, right? But this one's a little bit different because the military prison kind of creates a little bit of a different dynamic. And it's a really interesting film. I don't want to tell you too much about it. If you've never seen it before and you like prison movies, then I would highly recommend checking this out. This is the Kino Lorber 4K, by the way, and it's a solid-looking 4K. I wouldn't consider it like a reference disc or anything like that. But if you're a fan of this film and you don't own it, then of course I would recommend picking it up on 4K because that's how I roll. So for my number 10, The Last Castle. All right, next up for my number 9 is a film that I don't know if it's ever received any kind of Blu-ray release. I happen to have an HD digital copy of this film, but I think I bought it, or bought a digital copy of the film, probably about 5 years ago when I was first getting back into collecting. And I seem to remember I couldn't find a Blu-ray of this film. And I'm talking about a film called The Candidate from 1972. Great little political film here. Robert Redford basically plays this young, idealistic candidate or individual who is recruited to run for the U.S. Senate. And, he goes into it. He's fairly new to politics. And, I think it's fair to say he gets a little jaded by what he sees in the political world. And that's what makes the movie so interesting. This is one I would love to get on physical media at some point. I mean, I'm sure it has a DVD release out there, but of course I don't do DVDs. So, but I don't think it has a Blu-ray release, or if it ever did, it's long out of print. But this is a great film that I would love to see get a physical media release, an updated physical media release. I just don't know how realistic that is at this point. But you can probably find it on streaming. So if you're a big Redford fan and you've never seen The Candidate, this is one I would recommend hunting down and checking out. So for my number 9, The Candidate. And moving right along to my number 8, we've got a great little heist film here, also from 1972. I'm talking about The Hot Rock. Great film. And, it's kind of a lighthearted heist film. It's a caper film. It's got some comedic elements to it, but it's not like overly comedic. It's not like slapstick or anything like that. But it is a fairly amusing film that has some amusing moments in it. But it's also a great heist film too. So if you're a fan of the heist film genre, then this is one that you might want to check out. And I've got the Twilight Time release here. I don't know much about Twilight Time. I think this may be one of the only titles I have from Twilight Time. I guess they're a boutique of some kind, but I don't even know if they're still around. This particular title on Blu-ray was limited to, I believe, 3,000 copies. So it was a pretty limited run. But you might actually still be able to get it out there. I don't know how easily available this is. I probably bought this maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. But great film. If you've never seen The Hot Rock, it's one I would definitely recommend if you're a big Redford fan. So for my number 8, The Hot Rock. All right, next up for my number 7, I've got a movie I used to watch all the time back in the day when I was in my early 20s. I absolutely loved this movie. And I'm talking about All the President's Men. I've only got it on this double feature pack here with 3 Days of the Condor. But All the President's Men, such a great film. Robert Redford working with Dustin Hoffman in this one. I've always liked Dustin Hoffman. You got Jason Robards in this one, and Hal Holbrook playing Deep Throat. And I was always fascinated with this movie because around the time that I was getting into it, I was also, I started off majoring in journalism in college. Before I changed my major to poli-sci, I started off as a journalism major. So I was really interested in any movie that depicted the journalism profession, movies with reporters and whatnot. And so this is one I was just fascinated by this movie. So I've always thought this was a really well done film. And it's a film that back in the day had a lot of rewatch value for me. I haven't seen it in quite a few years now. In fact, I don't even think I've watched it since picking up this Blu-ray and adding this Blu-ray to my collection. Maybe I'm due to rewatch it again because it has been quite a bit of time, probably maybe 15, 20 years since I've seen this movie. And of course, for those who have never seen this one, this is a movie about Watergate and the reporters that uncovered what was going on, Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein of the Washington Post. And I just love Robert Redford's performance in this, the way he works the phones and he's bit by bit starting to kind of piece together what happened. And he's dealing with all kinds of like really strange communications that he's having with people because nobody wants to talk. And, it was a cover up, right? So everybody's acting a little shady. And, as Bob Woodward, Robert Redford's character in this, as he tries to get to the bottom of what's going on, it's just fascinating watching Robert Redford's performance in this film as all the pieces come together. And Dustin Hoffman is great in the movie too, but for me personally, it's Robert Redford's performance that really makes this movie. Him and Hal Holbrook. Hal Holbrook was pretty awesome in it too, but his role is a little smaller. It's Redford that, as far as I'm concerned, really carries this movie. So yeah, awesome film. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. All the President's Men for my number 7. All right, and next up for my number 6, we've got one here that I think it's fair to say this is a stone cold classic from 1973. I'm talking about The Sting. Which I mean, amazing cast, right? It's not just Robert Redford. You got Paul Newman in this, and you got Robert Shaw in this. I mean, that's 3 heavyweights right there. And this is just a hell of a lot of fun. This film is so good. Now, I just have the Blu-ray right here, but you can get it on 4K. I've just never gotten around to upgrading it yet, but I'm thinking about maybe upgrading it at some point. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in, if you don't own this one yet, you can get it on 4K. But yeah, just an awesome film about con artists, right? In fact, I think this is probably the single greatest con artist film ever made. And we're talking about a long con film here. So it's the greatest long con film ever made, too. This movie is so well done, and the performances are top notch. In this movie, just fantastic stuff. You get, Paul Newman, and as far as I'm concerned, at the top of his game as well. Robert Shaw is always awesome, and Redford, he's hilarious in this. His character is so endearing. You can't help but love him. But the con that they pull off in this movie, watching it all kind of come together, because you don't know the full scope of what they're doing until later on in the film, right? Like closer to the end of the film. And that's what makes this so cool. You see it kind of developing and coming together. But then when you see how everything plays out at the end, it's awesome. It really is awesome. And it's one hell of an ending for a film. So if by some chance you've never seen The Sting and you are a fan of films about con artists or heists or anything like that, then this is one I would highly recommend checking out. It's the kind of film that I think everybody should see at least once, provided you're at least somewhat interested in the subject matter. But it's a classic. It really is a classic. And so yeah, and I'm sure it must look amazing in 4K. This is a film that I would think would lend itself really well to the 4K format. Just, due to how it's shot and the way it looks, I think it would look really good in 4K. And I guess that's about all I can really say about this one for now. For my number 6, The Sting. By the way, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, don't forget to activate that notification bell as well, so you can always be alerted whenever I'm posting videos that you might be interested in. And also don't forget to like the video as well. Maybe even leave a comment if you're feeling so inclined. YouTube, the algorithm on YouTube really likes it when you leave comments and like the videos, and it rewards the channel with greater visibility. Thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate it. All right, next up for my number 5, we've got a little Tony Scott action here. What a combo. Tony Scott and Robert Redford working together. You just can't go wrong with that kind of deal. And it's Spy Game. Spy Game from 2001. Great film. Really good film. And this even has Brad Pitt in it. I'm not a big Brad Pitt fan, as many of you know, but I could tolerate him in this one. He didn't bug the shit out of me too much for this particular movie. But, Redford is what makes the movie. He was the reason I was watching it, not Brad Pitt. Redford's character in this is awesome, and it's a great little CIA thriller, I guess. It's pretty gripping, actually. It's a fairly intense film that really sucks you in and keeps you engaged the whole time. And I don't want to get too much into the story here, but basically a CIA agent played by Brad Pitt kind of goes on this unauthorized mission and gets himself into some trouble. And so there's all kinds of stuff going on in terms of the CIA trying to figure out what they're going to do with this guy, if anything. And Robert Redford is basically playing his supervisor or handler at the CIA, and he's trying to figure out if he can even help this guy, and if so, how can he help him? But it's a really great CIA-based action thriller, and of course you can never go wrong with Tony Scott directing. So yeah, I highly recommend this one. If you've never seen it, you should definitely check it out. It's a really good movie. So for my number 5, Spy Game. Okay, and moving right along to my number 4, we've got another prison movie here, one I've definitely talked about on the channel a few times, from 1980, one of my favorite prison movies of all time, Brubaker. Redford in this, starring with Yaphet Kotto. David Keith is in this. You even see Morgan Freeman in this, a young Morgan Freeman making a limited appearance in this. He doesn't have a huge role, but you'll definitely notice him in it. And this film is basically about a prison warden who comes in to reform this prison that is kind of a mess, all kinds of inhumane conditions going on in this prison, and some bad eggs in this prison as well. So he's there to kind of clean it up. This is one of those movies I used to rewatch a lot, so I've seen it a ton of times. And yeah, it actually is a bit of a comfort movie for me, believe it or not. Several of these Redford movies are actually comfort movies for me, just because of the nostalgia I have for them, and the time when I was getting into these movies. Like I said, I was in my early 20s, so whenever I pop something like this on, it really takes me back in time and kind of tugs at those nostalgia strings quite a bit. But if you're a fan of prison movies and this is one that you've never gotten around to checking out, then I would highly recommend checking it out. It's a really well done film. So for my number 4, Brubaker. All right, and next up for my number 3 is a film that I probably rewatched more than any other single Redford film, at least back in the day. This one, I used to play it all the time. And this is actually the film that I often credit as being one of the first films that got me back into collecting. It's also one of the first 4K releases I ever picked up. And I'm talking about The Natural from 1984. I love this movie. And, I've talked about this one on the channel before as well. I'm not a big sports fan, but I do like baseball. And I don't even watch baseball all that much. But if there's any sport that I can handle, it's baseball, right? And I saw this movie at a drive-in theater with my parents when it first came out in 1984, and I fell in love with this film. I loved it. It just had this magic to it that I still gives me goosebumps thinking about to this day, thinking about how I felt when I was young and seeing this film for the first time. This particular baseball player, to my young eyes when I first saw it, almost came off as like a superhero of sorts. It almost seemed like he had superpowers that couldn't quite be explained. And when I first got back into collecting about 5 years ago, for those who don't know, I took a hiatus for like 8 years where I stopped collecting. I wasn't buying any movies on physical media. And, about 5 years ago, there were a few movies that I started thinking to myself, I don't think I ever got around to buying those before I stopped collecting. Maybe I should go and start picking up a few of these movies that are missing from my collection that I've always loved. And The Natural came to mind because I think my wife was watching it on TV that day or something. And that was like the spark. That's what triggered this whole thing of me getting back into collecting, and not just getting back into collecting, but getting way more into collecting than I ever was before when I was younger. So this is kind of a special 4K for me, not just for the film itself and my own nostalgia for the film, but also because it is the spark that got me back into collecting and set me on a path toward becoming a far bigger fan of movies than I even thought possible, and certainly a bigger fan of movies than I ever was when I was collecting before the hiatus. I mean, I've always been a big fan of movies, but since getting back into collecting, that whole groove has been amped up to 11 for me. And I'm just way more into this stuff now than I ever was when I was younger. Anyway, it's a great looking 4K, and you get both the director's cut and the theatrical cut here, which I definitely appreciated because they are a little bit different. If you've never seen the director's cut, it's definitely worth checking out because there are some interesting changes that were made to the director's cut. They kind of move a few things around, they take a few things out and put a couple new things in, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, just an awesome film that you can't go wrong with, and I have a lot of big nostalgia for it. For my number 3, The Natural. All right, next up for my number 2, we've got another heist film here, although this one has a little bit of a tweak to it, a little bit different, not exactly your routine money heist. From 1992, Sneakers. Absolutely love this film, and it's got a high rewatch value for me as well. Amazing cast in this film. Not just Robert Redford, but you got Sidney Poitier in this. You've got Ben Kingsley, David Strathairn, Dan Aykroyd, River Phoenix is in this, Mary McDonald. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, but it's a hell of a cast in this movie. And it's just a great little heist film. Now, it's not a conventional heist film. Like, they're not stealing cash or diamonds or something like that, right? Instead, they're trying to heist this black box. Basically, they have been contracted by some people to steal this black box, which apparently will allow whoever has it to break into any computer system in the world. Now, this is 1992, so the technology is a little bit dated here. You got to keep that in mind. But at the same time, the subtext, the themes, the underlying themes are still very much relevant. But it's a really fun film that I've seen a ton of times. This one has a really high rewatch value for me personally. I don't seem to ever really get tired of this one. And yeah, awesome performances from an amazing cast. Yeah, it's just a really enjoyable ride. So if you've never seen it, I would definitely recommend checking it out. For my number 2, Sneakers. Okay, and then for my number 1, a film I've definitely talked about on the channel before, 3 Days of the Condor from 1975. Robert Redford with Faye Dunaway in this one, Cliff Robertson and Max von Sydow. Really good cast, excellent kind of CIA spy thriller, and you can't go wrong with this one. I've definitely talked about it on the channel before and sing its praises quite often. This is probably the one I enjoy returning to the most these days. You know, I mentioned before that as I've gotten a little older and my tastes have evolved, I don't watch Robert Redford films as often these days, but this is one I still never get tired of returning to, along with Sneakers too. But yeah, this is such a great film. I think it's his best film. Out of everything he's done, I think this is my favorite of all the Redford movies. Yeah, this is such a great film that I always have a blast with this one. So if you've never seen 3 Days of the Condor and you do like Robert Redford, then this is the one you got to see. Although I imagine if you're already a Robert Redford fan, there's probably a good chance that you've seen this one before. I've got the Kino Lorber 4K here, and I got to say, this looks really good on 4K. So if you just have it on Blu-ray and you've been thinking about whether or not you want to upgrade, I think it was worth the upgrade, especially being such a big Redford fan, because this is my favorite Robert Redford movie. So yeah, I had to get this one on 4K. So yeah, for my number 1, 3 Days of the Condor. Okay, so that covers my official top 10 list, but I do also have a few honorable mentions here that I wanted to briefly go through here. None of these are titles that I own on physical media at this point. Some of them I have a digital copy for, the others I just don't own yet, and I've been meaning to add them to my collection eventually, just haven't gotten around to them. So the first one is one that I'm sure a lot of Redford fans out there are going to be wondering why it wasn't included in my top 10 list. I'm talking about Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from 1969. Yes, it's an absolute stone cold classic. It's a great film, but it's not my favorite Redford film, right? And a great performance from Paul Newman in that one as well. But yeah, it's just not my favorite Redford film. But I do like the film. I thought it was pretty well done for what it is. And of course, I'm not a big fan of Westerns either, right? So that's why it doesn't rank as high for me. But again, it's a really good film, so I had to at least include it in my honorable mentions. So yeah, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And then also from 1986, a movie that I only have a digital copy of this film. I don't have this on physical media. I don't even know what kind of availability this thing has on physical media. I don't know if this ever got a Blu-ray even. It might have just gotten a DVD, and that might have been the last stop. But I found an HD digital copy that I bought a number of years ago. I'm talking about Legal Eagles. This is Robert Redford with Deborah Winger and Daryl Hannah, and it's a fun movie. It's a little more lighthearted, but I've just always had a lot of fun with it. It's one of those films I enjoy returning to. I've probably seen it in my life maybe a handful of times, but it's nothing amazing, but it's just fun. Right? It's lighthearted and fun. And it's worth watching, definitely, especially if you're like a Redford fan and you've never seen it, then I think it's definitely worth watching. But as always, it's his character in this movie that really makes it for me. Right. I don't know if I'd necessarily be into this movie if it weren't for Robert Redford. And that was the case with a lot of his movies for me personally. And then for my last honorable mention, I've got another journalism-related film here. Like I said earlier, there was a period of time where I was watching all kinds of films that had to do with reporters and journalists and that kind of thing. All the President's Men. There was a movie called The Paper with Michael Keaton. You remember that? That had a great cast as well. That movie, around the time I was majoring in journalism, that movie came out around then as well. And so I was really into anything that had anything to do with journalism or reporters. I was totally into it at the time. And of course, with this being a Robert Redford movie, combining an actor who was at the time one of my favorites with a topic that I was really digging in movies, journalism, it was just a golden combo for me. So I'm talking about the movie Up Close and Personal. This is from 1996, and Robert Redford co-starred in it with Michelle Pfeiffer. It was kind of fun watching them play off of each other. They had some interesting chemistry, I thought. But yeah, it's a fun movie, but it's a drama. Right. It's more drama. That's not normally the type of movie I would really even talk about on this channel. But I really enjoyed the movie for what it was at the time. And, I thought it was fairly compelling. So Up Close and Personal. Okay, and it looks like I've actually got one more honorable mention here that I'd forgotten about. From 1993, Indecent Proposal. I actually saw this movie in the theater when it first came out. And, the movie, it's not the greatest movie, but Redford makes the movie work, right? It's his performance that is what made it interesting to me. But, it's Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson. And, their characters they play are kind of buffoons, I think. I don't really like their characters. The only character I ended up kind of liking in this movie was Robert Redford's character. But that's just, that's how it was. So I'll be the first to admit that it's not some, great, amazing movie. But it is a movie that I've seen a number of times and have a little bit of nostalgia for. And I figured some of you might as well. So I figured I'd go ahead and mention it. And it is available in 4K. I can't remember who released it. I think it's a Kino Lorber release. I think they released it in 4K. For my last honorable mention, Indecent Proposal. Okay, so that about wraps it up for my top 10 favorite Robert Redford movies. Let me know what you think of my list in the comments below, and let me know what some of your favorite Robert Redford movies are. I always enjoy chatting with you guys and interacting with you guys in the comments, so make sure you leave me some feedback below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.